welcome to NAPOD, where we provide NA speaker meetings and workshops in a podcast. We are an ad-free podcast, and if you enjoy listening, please help us to be self-supporting by visiting napod.xyz, look for the donate link, and drop $1 or $2 in the virtual basket. If you're also in AA or have friends that are, please tell them about our other podcast, Sobercast. Sobercast features AA speakers and workshops in the same format as NAPOD. We upload a new speaker every day, and it's easy to subscribe by searching for Sobercast, that's 2 words, on any podcast player app, or go to Sobercast.com. Enjoy the podcast, and thanks for listening.
Thanks, Lester. I'm Amanda and I'm Amanda. Nice to be here, nice to hear that choir in the background. But it's particularly nice to see all these things on the floor. You know, just for today, you never have to use again. I couldn't believe that when I first came to Narcotics Anonymous. I thought I'd never got a chance to stop using, because I tried. I went to church and the door was locked, and I thought it was a personal insult, but it was the middle of the night. I had the Moonies round. I went to see a psychiatrist, and he said, all things considered, you turned out really well. And I said, but, I stick needles in my arms. How can that be saying I'm definitely mental? And he said I wasn't, so that gave me permission to carry on. I could always find someone to sort of reinforce my bullshit. Because I didn't have a solution. I didn't know about Narcotics Anonymous, and I didn't know it was about my reaction to the drugs, so I thought it was the drugs. I didn't realise it was me and my inability to cope with life on life's terms. For me, drugs were the solution when I was young. I was just miserable. I was born miserable. I didn't really like my family. They're actually all right, but I didn't see that at the time. I'd warped thinking. I still got warped thinking. So when I found drugs, it's like they seemed to be the answer for me, because I felt very insecure, very needy. I felt stupid. I felt less than. And when I drank, I felt amazing. First time I got drunk was at my dad's wedding. And he got married to the Wicked Witch of the West, and she was a witch, and I hated her. And then I had a drink, and I thought, I don't care, you can have 3 wives. So it changed my perspective. It stopped me from caring. And I've come to realise in recovery that I care a lot about a lot of things. And I'm okay with that now. But because I was unable to accept my powerlessness, I would use, because it made me feel better somehow. And like I said, it was fun at first, and it seemed like a solution, and there was quite a group of us that were doing it, so I felt like I fit in at last. And it was all about, like it says in our literature, the getting and finding ways and means to get more. That's what my life was about. And we all had a common goal to get stoned. And that's what made me feel part of, I think, this common thing that we had going on. And we never really had anything more than you got £1 for a brew. That was sort of the sum of our conversation. We never spoke about how we felt or what was going on. And people were dying, and I had my children taken away, and other people up the street had their children taken away. And we never really spoke about it. We just used. And so much of it seemed like normal, because that's what we all normally did. So when I came to Narcotics Anonymous, I didn't really understand what people were talking about. It's like they're talking another language, and they're talking about parking their cars. I don't have a car, I have a drug problem. I really wanted to knock that woman out, actually. But she's a dear lady, and I'm quite good friends with her today. And I totally understand now. I've got a car. One of the joys of recovery. And there was this one guy who was talking about feeling like an empty shell. And he'd got big hair and beard, like looked a bit rough. So I thought, you use drugs. I can see you use drugs like I did. And I thought that's exactly how I felt, like an empty shell. But I still couldn't see that I could get clean, because like I said, I'd tried all these other things. And as I said, I lost my two daughters through this disease, and I'm grateful for that today, because if they hadn't have gone, then they would have been subjected to more abuse. You know, I was unavailable for them. You know, I could clean. I'm good at cleaning. I'm still good at cleaning. I can put the tins all in the right order. I'm quite good at managing money, but emotions, it's like, I didn't really know that. Because I couldn't handle my own, I couldn't handle my children's, and that was the problem. And like it says, you know, we put drugs ahead of our wives, families, husbands and our children, and that's what I did. So when I came here and I read that, I just started to cry, because I thought, yeah, that's me, that is. But then the more I started to hear in these rooms, the more I realised I'm not alone. And I come to understand it's an illness. So I didn't really like that. I didn't want to come to Narcotics Anonymous and get a disease. Oh no! Powerless. I've got a disease and I'm powerless over it. I thought I don't like that. But I've come to understand the power for me is in the 12 steps. Getting back to this disease idea, and reading the literature, it's like I went through that first step. And I saw how that related to my life and my using. You know, and even before I started using, that step one fitted very, very well into the way that I felt. You know, when I didn't accept my powerlessness, my life became unmanageable. Because I used drugs, or, you know, I try and force someone to do something, or I'll be manipulative or controlling, and it really wasn't very happy, and the only solution always was to use. So when I came to understand this powerlessness and see these symptoms, you know, the isolation, degradation and despair, it says in the Blue Book, and that was me. That's exactly how I felt. And I thought, well, you know, maybe there is a solution here. And I had a son, and he's 21 now. Goodbye. And he got taken into care when he was, like, he had his 5th birthday in care. And it just seemed like Groundhog Day. It felt like it's the same stuff that's happening with my son as with my daughters. And I went to rehab in the middle of the New Forest, locked myself away, raked some leaves. You know, that was very therapeutic. You know, it's like, I thought you were going to get me to count them next. Mm-hmm. And that place was absolutely mental. We used to sit there plotting how much we're going to use when we get out. You know, because we'd be all right now. We haven't had any for a few weeks. But what was happening was, a lot of people had that attitude, and when they come out, they used and they died. And it was like all my friends were dying. But I didn't think it would happen to me. And it didn't, actually. But I did overdose. And that wasn't fun. I swallowed my tongue and went blue and all sorts. That is one of the consequences of my using. So I went to that rehab and come home, because that wasn't really offering me any sort of solution. And I thought, well, I need to go away from everybody, maybe get a tambourine. And I've actually got a tambourine now. And I play it on my own in the kitchen. And so this is my idea of what happens when you get clean. You get boring, you know, you get God, you get religious, you start ramming it down people's throats. And I thought, I don't want any of that. So my son now has been taken into care because he saw someone else use, not me, because I'm good at hiding it. But, you know, that was also part of the emotional abuse. I didn't really understand what I was doing. I thought I was keeping him safe because he couldn't see stuff, but he clearly could. But I was the one who couldn't see it, not him. You know, and the denial of the disease of addiction is another symptom. It tells you, you know, that's all right, and it's not. So he's now been taken into care, and this woman kept, she could see something in me that I couldn't see in myself, and she's gone, well, maybe you can go to this other rehab, it's just up the road. And I thought, what, just up the road? I don't know about that, because I've got to lock myself away. So anyway, they said, you've got the choice. You can have your son back because you got rid of all the alcoholics now. It's like, so I've gone for this assessment. They called me an alcoholic. I was furious. I said, how dare you? Don't you call me an alcoholic just because you're one. But when I came here and I read alcohol is a drug, I thought, oh no, please don't tell me that. That can't be right. Alcohol is a drug. It's legal, And I want to drink on Wednesdays and weekends. And I've come to understand now, again, through doing that step 1, when I got drunk, I never just had a little drink, ever. I always got drunk. And if I didn't get drunk, I might have a little brandy, because I was a little bit stressed out, just to calm my nerves. But it would set something off. It's like my head was then thinking, oh, what do I want now then? Oh, I'll have some of this, some of that. And then I'm thinking, I'm out of control, I'm drunk, I don't like it. I need some speed, that's what I need. Calm me out, equal me out a bit. And I was always trying to manage myself with one external thing or another. And that ended me up in this other rehab centre. And I made that decision. They said, you can have your son back if you want, but give this thing a go. And I thought, they take me to meetings. And I thought I can leave any time I want because it's only down the road. I know where the dealer is, I know where the pub is. And the difference with this place was Narcotics Anonymous. Because I was quite sick when I stopped using. I was physically and emotionally sick. And they had to take me to casualty, I was so ill. And then I went to Narcotics Anonymous, after those first few meetings where I didn't think I could get clean. And I thought it's really sad because, those people have been going for years. What's the matter with them? Put drugs down. There was this one guy, I said to God, that guy's been going for 11 months and he's not used. And Marcus said, no, 11 years. And I went home and used because the thought of going to meetings for 11 years was just dire. But I did get clean later that year. And when I was 11 years clean, that guy was 22 years clean. And we sat in the same room together and it was awesome. It was amazing. And so I'm getting all these ideas about what recovery's going to be like. Boring, tambourine. There's only one person who speaks my language. The rest are lying. He's using, she's using. They never use like me. This is all the stuff that I thought when I went to meetings. But gradually, as my head cleared, I started to hear these other stuff. About people's children, about people feeling empty, low self-esteem, and what's that mean? Go and look it up. Oh dear, I've got some of that. And then when I saw step 2, I thought, oh yes, restoration to sanity, bring it on. I need that. I was naive. I really was. Some people wouldn't even sit next to me. So angry, really angry. Like, don't you know what's happened? People say, how are you? I'm here, aren't I? I was absolutely furious, Take the drugs away and you've got a lunatic. That's what happened to me. And I've got all these feelings and all this anxiety and all this anger and no alcohol Valium. Oh my God. What have I got? I've got a 12-step program, a sponsor. I've got a home group. So, I couldn't speak though, I'd speak to people after the meeting and it's like I'd have all this stuff going on and not want to tell anyone. I'd go to a meeting and somebody would share what was going on in my head and I'm thinking, oh, it's some sort of conspiracy. What's going on? How do they know that I'm terrified that I'm going to get a gas bill and use? And, it was weird. It's like, I call it God instances now. All these little coincidences kept happening, and that sort of showed me that there is a power greater than me. So long as I keep coming to meetings, and I've been coming for nearly 17 years now, and I still keep getting little mini miracles. So I've come to understand there's a power greater than me, and that has been a long, drawn-out process, and it comes and it goes. But all these little coincidences kept happening. And it's like me and my mate are walking down the road and he said, I wonder if God does Rizzlers. Pray for some Rizzlers. We found Rizzlers. And then I've prayed for the willingness to stop smoking, and I've lost the Rizzlers. Lost the Rizzlers, lost the tobacco, lost the lighter wouldn't work, all this stuff happens. Now I pray for things to happen in a kind and loving way, and I haven't quite got the willingness, because it's like, I can handle that today. In early recovery, it had to be like hit round the face with a wet fish, because I wasn't taking any notice. So then it came time to do my step 4. And I got all these step 4 guides, and I'm thinking, let's find the one to avoid all the issues, Let's just do enough to keep me clean. I don't really want to get well. So anyway, in the end I just did that, like working step 4 in Narcotics Anonymous, and it was epic. It took me 8 months to complete that bloody thing. And I had one question left, and I stuck it in the drawer. And I was even more naive then. I got all this stuff, and it's like it's on the paper, it's out the closet, but it hasn't actually been dispersed, just stuffed back in the drawer. So it was time to do that, step 5, and the freedom I got from that was amazing. To tell another woman exactly who I was, all the stuff about my children, my sex inventory, all the stuff about my childhood, everything about my using, the shoplifting, the lot. It's like, I felt really ashamed. I did. And I'm hiding behind my stepbook, and after he did it, she said, "Do you want some lunch?" And I'm thinking, what? Where's the bolt of lightning then, or my halo or whatever? But no, she wants some lunch. But the thing is, she said, we'll have to go down the shop and get some. I thought, she's going to be seen out of me after I've just told her all of that. How amazing is that? So to have that unconditional acceptance and love from another woman just completely changed my relationships with every other woman, with my mum, my sister, and I can have friends now, and that has really been built from that sponsorship relationship, and being able to work through stuff. And step 6 and 7 is an ongoing thing. When I was ready to let go of stuff, other stuff would come, like, do I have to let go of being manipulative? Well, all right, then I'll give it a go, just for 5 minutes. And in that, 10 minutes, I got given an assertiveness course. I've been given, when I'm ready to give something else seems to pop up, and I get another tool to put in my recovery toolbox. And I went on a parenting course and stuff, and I really did do anything that was on offer, because I was empty. After that step 4, I was empty, and there was room for new stuff. And I wrote up my list of people I'd harmed, and of course my children was on it. And it took me probably, I was about 8 years clean when I was ready to write my letter of amends to my children. So I wanted them to love me. I was looking for something back from them. And it took me 8 years to be able to surrender and just take responsibility. So I posted the letter off and prayed when I posted it. And then I just got on with the rest of my amends to my parents. And I've got adult relationships with them now, whereas before I was always a child. And now we're in adult relationships since I've made those amends. And my sister, and she's gone, yeah, what about that? What about that? What about that? And it's really important to be ready to make your amends, and to have guidance, because if I'd been in any other place, I would have punched her. Because I was like, yeah, you're right. I had accepted my part, you're right. And I was able to take that from her. And it didn't go quite so well with my ex-mother-in-law. I got the door slammed in my face and got told to bugger off. You're the one who took the drugs. You're the one who lost the kids. Don't think you're coming round here to make yourself feel better. This is what my sister-in-law said. Ooh. I was at a convention and I went and I shared it and I moved on from it. So I sent this letter off to my daughters, and it took 2 years to get a reply. And I'd just come back from a holiday, dream holiday. I wrote a list of things like dreams when I was new, and slowly they've come true. And so I've gone on my dream holiday to India, and I've come back, and there's this letter from my work through the Children's Society, Adoption Society, and it was my daughter, and she wanted to have contact with me, and we wrote to each other, and I felt so much pain, so much loss. She got married, she'd graduated, all this stuff had happened. She had a new family, this mother and father. And I'd missed all of that, and I felt so much pain. And it's like God doesn't give you any more than you can handle, and I was about 10 years clean by then, and it took me that amount of time to be ready to handle that amount of feelings. And I cried and I shared about it, and it wasn't what I was expecting. I thought it's going to be amazing when because it's like when I was using, I was frightened that they'd come because they'd find the same thing. And in recovery I thought it would be wonderful, but it wasn't either of those things. It was very, very painful, and it's been very slow building up the relationship with her. And then she said to me, I feel like you're I feel like you're being too demanding because I don't feel like you're my mother. I've got a mother. I cannot tell you how much that hurt. I really felt like I'd been stabbed in the heart when she told me that. But I was able to behave with dignity and respect until I put the phone down, and then I was just like, because it hurt. But I was able to deal with it, that with her, and deal with my emotions through Narcotics Anonymous, and I shared it in the meeting. And this guy came up and he said to me, do you know what? I was with my dad when he died, and for the last 2 years of his life, that's the only relationship I ever had with him. And at the end of his life, we were friends. If she wants to be your friend now, you're really, really lucky. And that completely changed the way that I saw what she'd said to me. And we are friends today, and we met up a couple of weeks ago, and we had a really, really good chat, just me and her, without the kids. And she's got two children, I've got 2 grandchildren, and I've met them. And I speak to them on Skype, and they call me Amanda. And that's, that was very, very difficult, because I want them to call me Mum, Grandma, I don't know what it is. So, but I have to accept what she wants, and I have to live with that. I can't make things any different. I cannot make reality any different. And that's what I used to try and do with the drugs. And it's still a work in progress, our relationship, but she knows that I'm her friend, and she knows that I'm there for her, and I'm glad that I can be there for her. And so many amazing things, all those things that I wrote down, except for going in a balloon lot, has happened in early recovery, and that's because I don't really want to go in there. I'm scared. I wrote down all these things and dreams and stuff, and I've had to work hard. And the last real thing that was on there was to get a degree. And it's like, I really believed I was stupid. Got all these red marks, and I got told you talk shit, you do, and I couldn't turn up for the exams because I was speeding and I was too paranoid, I couldn't walk in them. And I went back to school, and I got educated, and then I got a job. I never had one of them before. That was scary. That was, oh my God, I've got to come off the Book of Doom because I've been on that. It's like, cleared the hepatitis. I got well. I had no more excuses. And then it's like, I'm saying to God, thanks for all that training, but I'm just going to sit on my ass and do nothing. It's like, no, I feel guilty. And a couple of days later, I got a call after having a word with God to have this, you got a job. Do you want to come? So I did, and I did really well. And I started to work, and I love it. I loved working. And then I've had about a year out now of working, just over a year, and I was chatting to God again, thinking, I'm ready now, I'm a little bit scared. And I was at the convention, and I was telling somebody this, and they've gone, oh, I know somebody who's got just a job for you. I start on Monday. But I'm willing, and I will turn up. And to come from where I came from and to be able to hold a job down is basically for doing service. Turning up, being secretary, making the tea, doing GSR. To learn me all my skills to be able to go back to college. And as I was saying, this degree, it's like I've been thinking about my step 11 a lot recently. It's like I'm having trouble with my son, and I'm having to hand it over. What's your will for me, God, in this situation? Because he's taking drugs, he's coming out of it. He came home and picked this knife up the other day, and he's going to stab someone. And I'm thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do? And so I just prayed And someone texts me when I'm praying. It's like, God help me, and I get this text, and I was able to have a conversation, and in that time he did come back and bring it back, and in my step 11 was about doing a degree, and I'm going for an interview on Sunday for this degree course, and it's like, I've got the money for it, I can drive to it. It's like the only thing that's going to stop me is me, and the disease of addiction. And I've got a solution to that. I've got my step 10 now. I could look at my part, because it's always everybody else's fault when I was using. Now it's like, yeah, they've got a part to play in it, but at the end of the day, how I look at it and what is the solution is the way for me. Because I've sabotaged myself many, many times in recovery. I'm no perfect recovering addict. It's taken me an awful lot of praying and mistakes to get where I have, but I do try to be in the solution, and I try to keep around people who are in the solution, because my disease loves your disease. Yeah, let's leave the meeting, go and have a fag and talk about using. It's like, no, stay in the meeting and see what people have got to say, because while I'm out there having a, fag, or not that I don't smoke anymore, but I used to, and I might miss something that'll save my life, and so many things that I've heard here have made such a difference to me. It's like the God word, I didn't really like that at all. However, there's as many gods as there is, drugs were my God, men were my God. And if I can't put my faith in this program, like being honest, spiritual principles, it's like, what do? Be honest, be open-minded, be willing to try something different. That was enough for a higher power for me. And turning up, that was the most important thing. Turn up. Try and get here early. I'm still working on that one. Do your best, and that's all. And today my best is good enough, and that's come from turning up and hearing what everybody else has got to say, so I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Please help us improve our ranking so others can find us by putting a review on Stitcher, iTunes, or your favorite podcast index. Nawpod is ad-free thanks to the folks supporting the show with $1 or more per month. If you enjoy listening, you can join them by going to nawpod.xyz and looking for the donate link. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.